The story begins in a secret room where a man named Federico was performing black magic. In front of him was a picture of a beautiful girl, and Federico was trying to cast black magic on this very girl. Now, after starting the black magic ritual, Federico tied himself to a sofa with ropes. Just then, we see that there was also a doctor present in the room who was sharpening the blade of a saw. Then, after getting Federico's permission, he cut off Federico's legs in one swift motion, causing blood to spurt out and drench the entire room in blood. After this, we see 3 people searching for a package in a truck for delivery. The truck smelled really bad, but even so, they somehow managed to find the package. This package was none other than the sofa from Federico's room. On this sofa, the address of Federico's ex-girlfriend Francesca was written. Meanwhile, we see a nightclub where a band is rehearsing and Francesca is dancing. After the rehearsal ends, 2 detectives named Bob and Roseanne come to talk to Francesca. Seeing them, Francesca's friend Magzi, who is also the band's manager, comes over. The detectives told Francesca that they had found Federico's severed legs in a dumpster. They asked Francesca if she knew anything about it, but Francesca said that she didn't know anything about it. I had even taken out a restraining order against him in court because he had become obsessed with Francesca. The police wanted to question her further, but Francesca had to go home because her new sofa was being delivered today. Meanwhile, the delivery man asked a shopkeeper for directions to Francesca's house. Actually, this shopkeeper was Magzi's grandfather Jack, and he knew the address to Francesca's house. Now he went with the delivery man to see the sofa, and as soon as he touched the sofa, he suddenly saw something strange in his mind. He saw a young girl running alone in the forest. As soon as Jack saw this, he suddenly fainted, so the delivery man somehow managed to pick him up. When Jack regained consciousness, he said that he was completely fine. But the truth was, after catching a glimpse of that girl, he was feeling very strange. Meanwhile, Magzi dropped Francesca off at her house, where Francesca's new boyfriend TJ was sitting outside on the new sofa, waiting for her. After that, he dragged the sofa into Francesca's living room. Then he told Francesca that he was going out to meet some of his friends. A little while later, Francesca went to take a shower, but she had no idea that the sofa was keeping an eye on her. Later that night, Francesca was relaxing, sitting on her new sofa. But then, all of a sudden, she felt like she wasn't alone in the house. Soon, she started to feel that the sofa was touching her in a different way. Just then, Francesca suddenly woke up and saw that she was in her bed. At first, she thought maybe it was just a dream, but whatever she had felt seemed completely real. At that moment, we see the spirit of the same girl standing behind the sofa, the one Jack had caught a glimpse of. Meanwhile, Jack was at his home, researching about that same girl. From some books and a YouTuber who makes videos about witchcraft, he learned that there might be an evil spirit haunting that sofa. Anyway, the next morning when Francesca woke up, she heard a noise coming from the living room. She thought it must be TJ. But when she went into the living room, she saw decorations around the sofa and breakfast all ready. Just moments later, TJ came out from the other room. So Francesca thought TJ had done all this for her, and she happily hugged him. But TJ couldn't figure out who had actually done it. Anyway, Francesca was happy and things were going her way, so she didn't say anything. Meanwhile, Detective Bob was examining the evidence from Federico's case on his computer. Those photos revealed that Federico was obsessed with Francesca and was also quite interested in witchcraft and black magic. Then he called Francesca in and questioned her about it, but she said that she didn't know anything about it. Well, Francesca said that she doesn't know why, but whoever she gets into a relationship with ends up becoming obsessed with her after a while. While Francesca was giving her statement, that haunted sofa was now staring at TJ. The sofa was jealous of Francesca's boyfriends. That's why it went straight up to TJ, pushed him onto the stove, and drove an iron rod into his leg. Groaning in pain, TJ called Francesca, and she soon arrived at the house with Detective Bob. They saw that TJ was lying injured in the bathtub. Francesca pulled him out, and Bob went into the living room to see that there was only a sofa placed in the middle. TJ said that the sofa was possessed by an evil spirit, and it was the one that attacked him. But Francesca didn't believe him and told TJ to get some rest. Eventually, TJ went to his mother's house. His mother was watching a meditation class with her earphones on. After a while, a metal spring started attacking the window of TJ's room, so he immediately called out to his mother, but she couldn't hear anything. Now, when he opened the window himself and looked outside, he was shocked, because Francesca's sofa was standing below, staring up at him. Seeing this, TJ tried to close the window out of fear, but the sofa's spring got in the way. Now panicked, TJ fell to the ground, but one of the springs pierced his leg. Then, a strange energy emerged from inside the sofa, which, in just a few moments, pulled TJ's soul out and absorbed it. In this way, TJ became the first victim of the demonic sofa. Meanwhile, Jack, along with his partner Jenny, was trying to stop the evil spirit of the sofa. He tried to enter the world of spirits so that he could understand the meaning of his nightmares. Now, they began the process of communicating with the spirit, and finally, Jack once again found himself in the same forest where that girl was running away from someone. Suddenly, a piece of the girl's clothing fell to the ground, and inside it was a poisonous flower. As soon as Jack picked it up, he found himself in another part of the forest. He saw a woman approaching the young girl with a basket of food. For some reason, the girl took a knife out of the basket and suddenly, she died. Seeing all this, the woman was terribly frightened. Besides this, a boy who was hiding nearby and watching everything also got scared and ran away. Just then, Jack suddenly woke up and returned to the real world. He told Jenny that the girl from the forest had poisoned someone, after which she herself died, and now her spirit lives in that sofa. After sharing this, Jack decided to meet Francesca because he knew that as long as she had the sofa, her life was in danger. Meanwhile, when night fell, Francesca woke up and found herself on the sofa, and suddenly she saw her underwear on the floor. As she moved to pick it up, she saw someone's shadow in the bathroom. But when she went into the bathroom, there was no one there. Now she closed the bathroom window and moved towards the door. But then she saw a shadow again. But suddenly, she woke up again and realized that it had all just been a dream. Francesca breathed a sigh of relief, but soon she heard a noise coming from the living room. Now she took a flashlight and went to check again, when suddenly the sofa moved towards her and she screamed loudly. Francesca immediately called Maxie and asked her to come over. Maxie soon took her to her own house because she thought Francesca was traumatized by Federico's death. Then the two of them slept peacefully. The next morning, TJ's mom was vacuuming when she went into TJ's room, where his body was lying. Suddenly, the vacuum cleaner sucked up TJ's corpse as well. Meanwhile, Francesca had no idea what had happened to TJ. That morning, she returned home where the sofa was exactly in its place. Soon, she received a message from Detective Bob, who told her to come to the police station immediately. Francesca rushed out of her house, but just then, Ralph appeared in front of her. He was also one of her ex-boyfriends. Francesca told him that she didn't want to talk to him right now, but Ralph wanted to marry her and start a family with her. Still, Francesca ignored him and headed towards the police station. Anyway, as soon as she left, Ralph broke the lock and entered her house. Meanwhile, at the police station, when Francesca heard the news of TJ's horrifying death, she broke down in tears. Anyway, the police had to solve this case too. So Bob called Maxie in so they could question both of them. Then Bob and Roseanne showed them a picture of TJ's corpse. 2 letters from Francesca's name were written on TJ's face. Eventually, Bob figured out that the murders of TJ and Federico were connected. Then he gave them a list of Francesca's ex-boyfriends and said that one of them might be the killer, because Francesca had mentioned that all of them had gone crazy over her. Now Bob asked her to cross out the names from the list of those she suspected. So Francesca picked out Ralph's name because he had come to see her just this morning. After this, after looking at all the evidence, both detectives began to suspect a man named Warren Lee. This man was a veterinarian. Now they went out to investigate, and meanwhile, Ralph broke into Francesca's house. He was checking the house's security system, but he didn't know that it wasn't the cameras, but the sofa that was keeping an eye on him. After this, Ralph went into Francesca's room and started searching her closet. Suddenly, he heard a noise from the living room, but he ignored it and took out 2 of Francesca's underwear, placing them on the bed. Why is everyone after this girl's underwear? After that, he crawled under the blanket himself and started daydreaming. He got so lost that he didn't even realize when the sofa came up next to him. The sofa went up to the bed and struck Ralph hard on the head, killing him on the spot. Meanwhile, Francesca was at Maxie's house, but now Maxie had to go look for her grandfather Jack. Before she left, Francesca invited Maxie to her house because she was scared of her sofa. Saying this, Francesca squeezed Maxie's arm tightly, which made Maxie feel quite strange. Maxie asked Francesca if she was okay, but it seemed like Francesca was lost in thought, and after a few moments, she returned to normal. After that, Maxie went to her grandfather Jack's house. Meanwhile, at the police station, Detective Bob was watching the videos recorded by Federico. When Roseanne watched the video too, she noticed the same sofa that was at Francesca's house. This made her suspicion grow even stronger. Meanwhile, when Maxie met Jack, he told her that Francesca's sofa was possessed by an evil spirit that was extremely powerful. This turned Maxie's suspicion into certainty, because she also felt that the strange incidents and Francesca's change had something to do with that sofa. Now she decided to go to Francesca's house alone and take the sofa out. But as soon as she arrived, she saw Ralph's corpse on the balcony. Suddenly, someone pulled the corpse, so Maxie went closer and saw that it was the ferocious sofa itself pushing Ralph. Then, all of a sudden, it shoved Ralph's corpse off the balcony. Seeing this, Maxie was convinced that the story about the black magic sofa was true, and she quietly decided to escape from there. But suddenly, her foot landed on a clip, and the sound alerted the sofa that someone else was there. Now Maxie tried to run away, but the sofa used its spring to shut the door and then charged toward Maxie. Meanwhile, Maxie quickly locked herself in the bathroom and started trying to escape through the window. But the sofa was watching her through the hole in the door. Just as Maxie was about to jump out the window, her foot slipped and she fell straight into the trash bin below. Unfortunately, because she fell so hard, Maxie died on the spot, and we see that her car keys were left upstairs. Anyway, after Maxie was gone, the sofa went over to the sink and tried to talk to Francesca using its magic. Meanwhile, Francesca heard the sofa's voice coming from the drain in Maxie's house. It was calling out to a girl named Valeria. Now Francesca went closer to the sink to listen carefully, but just then, both detectives showed up, which startled Francesca. Anyway, she then told the detectives that Maxie had left 2 hours ago. Now, to find Maxie, the three of them decided to go to Francesca's house together. But when they got there, Maxie wasn't there, but her house keys were. When Francesca called Maxie, she heard Maxie's phone ringing from the mountain. Then, when the detectives went outside near the trash can, they found Ralph's dead body there. Now, after Ralph's death, the case had become even more complicated. Meanwhile, Francesca once again heard the name Valeria, and as soon as she turned around, she realized the voice was coming from her sofa. Now, terrified, she came out of the house and saw that the sofa and Ralph's spirit were watching her from the window. Seeing this, she was petrified, and when she spotted Maxie's car, she immediately got in and drove away. The next morning, we see her standing on the road by the seaside. She was sobbing uncontrollably because she felt that Maxie had also been killed, just like TJ. But just then, she got a call from Maxie's grandfather, Jack, who said that he knew the reason behind the strange things happening to her. Now Francesca went to meet him and told him that Maxie was missing. She also mentioned that she kept hearing strange voices calling the name Valeria. Hearing this, Jack immediately recalled his research and realized that they were talking about the same girl he had seen in the forest. Her full name was Valeria Colette, and together with her husband Gerard, she used to poison people, perform black magic on them, and enslave their souls. But after some time, she was exposed in front of everyone, and Gerard was sentenced to death. After that, we saw in the dream how she died. Later, Valeria poisoned another woman named Mary, causing her death. At that point, Francesca said that Mary was her great-grandmother. Anyway, then Jack explained that after Valeria's death, her soul entered Mary's body. From that day on, men started going crazy for Francesca's great-grandmother Mary. This was Valeria's curse, which still lingered in their family to this day. That's why Francesca's boyfriends also became obsessed with her. The truth was that Gerard's spirit had possessed Federico, so that Gerard and Valeria could be together again. Anyway, now Jack said that a spirit only possesses living people to get its work done. But the surprising thing was, how did it get into the sofa? Well, Jack didn't have any answer for that, but still, he made 2 boxes to capture both spirits. Meanwhile, Francesca started seeing that same sofa again. At the same time, Valeria's spirit was also present there. Francesca was terribly frightened and somehow managed to snap out of this illusion. Just then, she saw that Jack had suffered a heart attack. Francesca tried to help him, but Jack told her to take a box and place it near the sofa. Meanwhile, at the police station, we see that Bob had called Warren Lee in for questioning. At that point, Warren confessed that he had cut off the legs on Federico's orders. Meanwhile, while investigating, Roseanne arrived at Ralph's house and discovered that he had installed cameras in Francesca's home. When Roseanne watched the recordings, she saw the sofa moving on its own, which completely shocked her. She immediately set out to inform Bob about this news. Sometime later, we see that Francesca went home and ordered the spirit inside the sofa to enter the box, but the spirit refused to obey her. So Francesca decided to sprinkle oil on the sofa and set it on fire. But as soon as she lit a match, the sofa put out the fire. Now Francesca had no other option left, so she picked up a knife. Seeing this, the sofa stood up like a human and started moving towards Francesca. At that very moment, Bob and Rosanna arrived there, and Bob fired bullets at the sofa. As soon as he did this, the sofa broke apart and fell to the ground, revealing Federico's burnt body behind it. Then it is revealed that Warren had told Bob that Federico had his legs cut off so he could hide inside the sofa. In the end, Bob shot Federico and killed him, and they thought that the story of the savage sofa was finally over. Seeing all this, Francesca became extremely anxious and immediately thought of going to the bathroom to take her medication. but in her panic, all her medicines fell to the floor. As soon as she bent down to pick up the medicine, someone grabbed her hand. It was none other than Valeria's vengeful spirit, and soon it entered Francesca's body. Now, when Rosen came after her into the bathroom, Francesca opened the door and said that everything was fine. Just moments later, we saw in the trash bin downstairs that Maxie wasn't dead. She had just fainted. As soon as she entered Francesca's house, Francesca hugged her the moment she saw her. She said that everything would be absolutely fine. But just then, we catch a glimpse in the mirror that Francesca was possessed by Valeria at that moment. Anyway, the next day when Detective Bob came to meet Francesca, he was very surprised to see that Francesca had decided to keep the sofa. Then she served Bob tea, which was made from the same poisonous flower that Valeria used to kill people. As soon as he drank it, Bob fainted and collapsed to the ground. Some time later, Rosen came to Francesca's house looking for Bob, but what she saw in front of her made the ground slip from under her feet. She saw that the monster sofa was sucking Bob's soul into itself, and in exchange, Valeria's husband Gerard's soul entered Bob. Rosen tried to help him, but suddenly Francesca stabbed her in the back with a knife. Then Detective Bob, now possessed by Gerard, killed Rosen. In the end, the two savage husband and wife had returned, and now together they were ready to hunt humans once again. A little while later, Maxie came in her car to meet Francesca. After Bob and Francesca left, she quietly snuck into the house and found Detective Rosen's corpse. She immediately called the ambulance. But at that moment, her eyes fell on the sofa, and she realized that the sofa was trying to tell her something. When Maxie went closer to it, she saw Francesca's soul trapped in one of the buttons, pleading for help. That's when Maxie realized that after Federico, now Francesca too had been imprisoned inside this monster sofa. And this is where this bizarre story comes to an end.